Hi and welcome along to AFTV. It's our live at 5. I'm joined by Laurie in the building. I say live at 5, it's actually 5:30. My bad, right? Why the show is coming to you a bit late today. I got caught in torrential rain. I was outside London, got caught in absolute torrential rain. Got here to London now, and I'm saying to everybody, I'm saying, yo, that rain, man, do you see it? I mean, the traffic on the motorway, and everyone's like, what rain? I ain't seen no rain, man. It's dry.
It's headed that way, though.
I'll tell you what, man. I'll tell you, hailstones, everything. It was like a tropical storm over here in the UK, but we are here right now.
That's the important thing. You're here in the building.
Here in the building, and on tonight's show, we're going to be discussing Jude Bellingham. Would you sign, or should I say, should Arsenal try and sign Jude Bellingham this summer? Right, we're going to discuss that on the show today. Also want to talk about this moving of the fixture against Chelsea. I don't know about you. I'm a bit angry about this, and I'm going to give you my reasons why later on. And also just talk about the general state of the team. Eddie back in training, so that's a good sign. You know what I mean? The running, of course, really, really important. And also we can kind of touch on Man City.
Yeah.
And then they're looking in great shape at the moment after their win last night over Bayern. But does that help us?
It could conceivably do so,
Does that help us? Yeah. We'll discuss that later on as well.
It's not a detriment, I don't think.
Yeah. Well, first of all, let's start off with this. I suggested this earlier on. Should Arsenal sign Jude Bellingham? And like, I noticed that when we was in that meeting, and I said, yeah, okay, I might discuss tonight. You know, should Arsenal sign Jude Bellingham? Everyone was like, what? Bellingham, Arsenal. Now, let me tell you something, right? This, for me, now, this is now where I'm starting to look at Arsenal. I'm like, I want to start seeing us leveling up when it comes to signings, yeah? This is not me saying that, you know, this is going to happen, but I'm just saying that Jude Bellingham, I saw the story yesterday about Liverpool and the fact that Liverpool, who were the favourites to sign Bellingham, now turns out that they're not going to go in for Bellingham in the summer. It's upset a lot of Liverpool fans. I got onto AGT last night, who was telling me, when I remember he was over in Qatar, he told me it was an absolute definite that Bellingham was going to be signed, and got onto him, and he sounded like he was deep in depression. But Bellingham, by the looks of it, will not be signing for Liverpool. Liverpool's saying it's going to be too expensive. They're not going to go near it. They want to spread the money around to do their rebuilds, right? Which, you know, we all know they need to sort of rebuild their midfield. But I'm looking at Arsenal, and I'm saying, should Arsenal turn their attentions to Jude Bellingham?
Why not? Why not? I think that's a very feasible thing to look at. Whilst we're on that, did you know that Arsenal were interested in Bellingham many years ago?
Yeah, before he actually, and before he actually went to Dortmund and stuff
even
like
then,
that.
The price they were being quoted at that time apparently was too much for Arsenal.
Yeah, but I'm looking at it, right, Jude Bellingham right now, he's 19. It's hard to believe that he's 19, but he's only 19, right? So, and obviously we know that Borussia Dortmund are looking in excess of £100 million for him.
130.
Which, of course, is incredible amount of money. But remember, he's still 19, right? So you're signing a player he's going to be with you for many, many years. I
mean, the potential and the ceiling, as you indicate there, is through the roof.
Now, I sort of like was putting some notes together earlier on some of the reasons why, you know, because, you know, as I said, when it's been suggested, there's a lot of people who immediately break out into laughter and stuff like that. Now, a couple of seasons ago, I could fully understand why people would break out into laughter. We wasn't signing players of this ilk. We wasn't spending this sort of money on players. But let's remember, in the January transfer window that just went, we were about to pay £88 million for Mudryk.
Yeah, that's true.
A completely unproven player who so far is looking like we dodged a bullet, right?
I think that's a little bit premature, to be honest.
No, so far.
But I think it's far too early to judge.
It's too early to judge, but so far, wouldn't you say would you say he even looks like a £30 million player? No, be real.
What I would say is that we signed Trossard, and that's looking like a hell of a signing.
Exactly, but
so
I'm saying
a lot of people are looking at the Mudryk in retrospect and thinking, boy,
all right, forget we
bullet.
signed Trossard. At the moment, from what I've seen of Mudryk, he doesn't even look like a 25 to 30 million pound player. Right?
I would say you are right, but I would also qualify that by saying he's shown flashes, and we have to flashes, yeah, only flashes.
In the first game he played.
Well, you know, here and there. But what I would say is this: he's clearly a tremendous talent, an unpolished diamond, and if they can get it right at Chelsea, then it could be that they've signed a hell of a player. At the moment,
does he look any better than, say, a Reece Nelson?
No, he doesn't. But what I'm talking about again is potential.
At the moment, does he look £88 million? He doesn't even look as I said, he looks like about a £20 million player. That's what he looks like at the moment. As Laurie says, he could come good in the future, and they'll be banking on that happening. But with Bellingham, we're looking at a player that's proven. Whether it be at Dortmund, he's gone there and he's been like their main guy. Whether it be playing for England, remember the World Cup in the summer, you know, at the age of 18-19, he was like one of our main guys. He's looked like it since, right? So you'd be signing a player that at 19 years old has got leadership qualities, is brilliant,
he
gets round the pitch.
But what I would say about the Mudryk thing, and again, you have to sound a note of caution, because remember, a certain KDB failed at Chelsea. Same with Salah. Look at those two guys now.
Yeah.
Two of the best players to have graced the Premiership.
True, but and as I said, Mudryk could come good, but at the moment, he doesn't look nowhere near he's worth that. Whereas we're looking at Bellingham, and he does look like 100. When you look at the valuations of players nowadays, you would look on it and say he's in excess of 100 million.
He is without question.
He's only 19 years old.
He is without question one of the best young talents in the world.
Right, so he's one of the best young talents in the world. Now I look on it and I say, right, we've got a great team at the moment. I love our team at the moment, right? But if you're going to progress to the next level, you've always got to be looking about how do we level up on the players we've got. So I guess if you bought in a Bellingham, that's kind of like Granit Xhaka's position. Granit Xhaka's now 30.
That's right.
Right? And we'll be getting older. And I'm not saying to get rid of Xhaka. I think he's been excellent. And I think his experience would be great. But imagine if you had a Bellingham in there and Xhaka, right? Bellingham with his energy, what would that bring to our midfield, right?
Absolutely.
Then I look on it and remember next season, bar an absolute meltdown by Arsenal, right, of epic proportions, we'll be playing Champions League football. The standard is going to be raised.
Some might say we'll be champions.
Well, we could be champions and we could be, but whatever, we could be playing Champions League football.
Yeah.
Playing Champions League football, we're going to need an even better team than what we've got this season. Again, you've got the option of a Bellingham in there, in there. People will look at it and say, yeah, but Arsenal are going to spend that sort of money. So let me just land with the rest of it, right? So remember, we were looking to buy Mudryk 88 million, and then even when that failed, we were for Caicedo, and that was another 80 million, and that's despite the rumours saying that we're looking to get Declan Rice in the summer. They were still looking to get those two signings in. So that shows me that money is there. And on top of that now, we're going to be in the Champions League, so the revenues will be higher. You'll be able to get, more money in from the Champions League, something that we haven't had for about the past 5-6 years, is Champions League revenue. We're going to have that. I mean, why couldn't Arsenal go out there and try and make a bid for a Bellingham? Imagine if you got Bellingham and Declan Rice in the summer.
I would go a bit further than you, actually. I would say, rather than should we be looking at it, or could we, I would say we ought to be looking at it.
That's what I'm saying. I think we ought to be looking at, we ought to be looking at Bellingham. And as I said, when I sort of spoke about it, I see eyebrows raised and people thinking, what? Arsenal? No, where we are now, these are the type of players. Because if we're going into the Champions League next season, and with Mikel Arteta's philosophy, he's not going in there to make up the numbers. You're going in there to try to attempt to win the thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So imagine if you've got a Bellingham in your midfield,
Yeah, and listen, regardless of what happens now in terms of actually winning the league, like you said, I think it's fairly safe to assume that we'll be playing Champions League football next season. So say, God forbid, we fell short of our aspirations in terms of winning the title, we will be playing, we will be eating at that top table next season. Now, if you look at our current central midfielders, like you said, Granit Xhaka, 30 years old, Thomas Partey's 29, Mohamed El Neni, 30, Sambi, who's out on loan, he's in the wilderness a little bit, he's 23, but then Jorginho's 31. So you've got to be
Jorginho's not long term, is he?
Yeah, exactly. So two of those that I mentioned are unlikely to feature long term. So you're looking at Xhaka and Partey. Injury concerns with Thomas Partey as well.
Yep.
So you do have to look at strengthening that area, and I would say that Jude Bellingham fits the bill.
And if Liverpool are no longer going to be going in for him, what's wrong with Arsenal going in? As
That's
I said,
right.
I think the money might be there. And I'm going to show you another way how that money could be there as well in a minute, right? Let me do a couple of super chats. Ricky Proctor says, won't signing a £100 million plus player disrupt the team negatively? Someone like a McAllister is a great upgrade on Xhaka and won't cost as much. Thoughts? McAllister, good player. We could end up going in for McAllister. I'm not saying, but who's better? In my opinion, I'd rather have Bellingham than McAllister. And I think he has a higher ceiling. He's still only 19. I just think it would be a wonderful signing for Arsenal. And it would be a statement signing for Arsenal. And I don't see how it would disrupt the team negatively.
It's not often I agree with pretty much everything you say. But everything you said there, I do actually agree with.
Jay Federer.
And I would go a little bit further and say that, listen, as a club like Arsenal that's this season re-establishing ourselves as one of the powerhouses of British football, this is the type of marquee signing that we should be looking to make. Even if we're just inquiring, we should be dotting our T's, crossing our, whatever the phrase is, and saying, look, go to the money men at Arsenal and say, look, is this possible? Can this work? Because this is a player that will do it for us. You know what I mean?
And I'm looking on it. I was thinking to myself, right, what do Arsenal really need this summer to strengthen? What are the areas that they need to strengthen in, right? So you could argue maybe another defender, probably need, right? Maybe another a striker, but the one area where definitely I think everybody's sort of like, let's strengthen that up a bit. Let's upgrade that. Is midfield.
It's the engine room of the team.
So there's been a lot of talk about Declan Rice. So I think if we could get Declan Rice, that'd be a great signing. But I'm looking, I said, and I know this would be a lot of money, but Declan Rice and Bellingham.
Listen, I'm a fan of Declan Rice.
Imagine a midfield, right? Declan Rice or Partey, right? Bellingham or Xhaka and Martin Odegaard. Wow. That's a great midfield, you know what I mean?
But would Arsenal have to look to offload a couple players?
Well, I'm going to come to that now, right? So, because don't worry, man. I've been doing my covering off in this, right? Now, listen. As I said, I love the players we've got at the moment, right? And I love what they've been doing this season. But we know how football works. It's quite ruthless.
Sport.
It's a ruthless sport. I mean, I saw last night, I was watching that City game and I couldn't believe the reception that the City fans gave Cancelo coming back, who for the past couple of seasons been one of their main guys, and they booed him every time he touched the ball. I mean, I'm not saying...
Mind you, he left in quite dubious circumstances.
Yeah, I guess so, but, you know...
And it's still a bit raw with City fans,
but that's how ruthless football is, in that he was one of their best players of the past couple of seasons, and then Pep just offloaded him. Yeah. Right? So
Pep don't ramp, Pep don't play.
Yeah, well,
Pep
he doesn't
play around, which is why he's where he is.
Yeah, Pep Guardiola, Sir Alex Ferguson in the past, they always knew when to move on certain players and stuff like that.
To be fair, even our own Arteta, he's shown signs of that.
Ruthless, you know what I mean? What he's done with Aubameyang, with Lacazette, with many, many players. Pepe, right? So I was looking at it today and I'm thinking, all right, it looked to me like there's money available there because, as I said, they were going to get Caicedo, they were going to get Mudryk. Mudryk was going to be £88 million or £80 million plus, and they were willing to spend it, and they were willing to spend £80 million on Caicedo, right? So, all right, let's just say they say to themselves, right, we're going to keep that money and get Declan Rice, that right? But Bellingham's around, so they're thinking, boy, how could we raise some money to get.
I can see you've had this well thought out.
I've been looking into this, right? How could we raise
sums, bro?
How could we raise some money to get Bellingham, right? Now, for the first time in a very long time at Arsenal, we've actually got players that are worth something. It's true, because over the past few years, right, you know, we've had players that literally we've had to give them away. We've had to give away so many players. We had to give away Ozil. We had to give away Bellerin. All these sort of players, we give them away. Players that were just on big wages, not work. But that is not the case.
The ROI, as they say in business, the return on investment has not been great.
That's right. Now we've got players that are worth something. So I was looking at a few players and I was saying, right, what if we? I'm not saying, by the way, I'm just putting this out there, right?
Throw me some names.
Right. Eddie Nketiah.
Right.
If we say moved him on, right? Which it's not 100% that he will stay this summer, because he may look on it and say, because I think he's had a good season, and he might look on it and say,
he's had a decent season.
Yeah, and you know, the injury sort of curtailed him a bit, but he might look on it and say, I want to play week in, week out, which he might not get at Arsenal, especially now Trossard's come in. What would he be worth? I think when I look at some of the amount of money that players are going for, I saw Leeds sign a guy the other day from German football for 30 million. Was it Rutter or something?
Oh,
He's barely played.
Yeah.
No better than Eddie. I think Eddie, as a guy who's Premier League proven, scored some big goals, playing for Arsenal.
Bit of English tax in there as
30 English tax, 30 million. What would Balogun be worth?
Yeah,
at the moment, there's a load of teams out there interested in following Balogun. You know, I think most Arsenal fans are hoping that we bring him back. But supposing, because I've also read where he's saying that, I want to go back to Arsenal, I want to be playing week in, week out. You're not going to start ahead of Jesus. Still might struggle to get ahead of Trossard. So if it was a thing, what would it... Now, to me, I think Balogun's worth £50 million in the current market.
50...
All right, let me ask me this, Sal, right?
50 might be a little bit...
So why is Mudryk worth
optimistic.
88? Why is Mudryk worth 88 then? What did he do to get that £88 million price tag? My man's gotten Balogun.
Mind you, that's why we didn't pay it though, was it?
No, but he's gone. But we were going to pay it, right? And Chelsea paid it, and we've gone to French. He's gone to the French Football League, and he's been outscoring people like Mbappe and that. He's proved himself. He's gone to France and he's proved himself. So if Mudryk's worth 88 million, why is Balogun not worth?
Yeah, I see that.
At least 50 million.
But I think it's just the one good season he's had, though. Isn't
but how many good seasons has Mudryk had?
Yeah.
He scored a couple of goals in the Champions League. He was playing for Shakhtar in the Ukrainian league, which is nowhere near the standard of the French league. And you know, how is Anthony worth 80 million?
Yeah. No, I mean, listen.
Not to get at least 50
it's a salient
for Balogun.
Point. It's a salient.
I mean, you could argue that Eddie should be worth as much as, say, a Mudryk. He's done more than one.
I would stop short of saying that.
Well, what's Mudryk done?
Are you really saying that Eddie, and no disrespect to Eddie, is going to fetch 80 million in the current transfer?
No, he wouldn't. But what's Mudryk done to earn to you say he's better than Eddie?
The thing with Mudryk, it was potential, and at the time, you have to remember, he was much sought after. So that automatically pushes the price up.
But what has he done? I'm just asking, what's he done?
He probably wouldn't go for that if they was to resell him right at this
You're
moment.
damn right he wouldn't go for that right now. Right, so Balogun, I reckon you could get like a 50 for, right?
Yeah.
Nuno Tavares, what's he? Well, he's another player. He's gone to French football with Marseille, and he's been excellent. You know, I know he had a little bust up the other day, I think, with a coach
he did,
a couple of weeks ago, but... You know, I heard the coach previous to that bust up saying that he feels Tavares could be playing for Barcelona or Real Madrid.
Yeah, up until that point, he'd been having a good season.
Right? What's he worth then? 30 million? He's had a great season at Marseille.
I can see him doing your due diligence.
May not get into the team. Nicolas Pepe for sale in the summer. Playing and I was watching him in the game at the weekend for Nice, playing against PSG. He's just back from injury. He's had a bit of an injury season. Obviously, we're not going to get the 80 million we paid for it, but is he not
still
worth...
paying off to 72.
Exactly, it's the 72, sorry. But is he not worth a 20 to 30 million?
Yeah, I would have thought so, definitely. Yeah.
Right? So, Just adding that up. I'll put Kepa at 20 million, yeah? Tavares at 30, Balogun at 50, Eddie at 30. That's 130 million pounds.
Yeah.
How much they say Bellingham's cost?
Well, the talk is between 120 and 130.
So there's players you could
Dortmund are asking.
So there's players that could be sold here to raise money, and there's even other players that, you know.
I would add though that it's been reported that he's also after 300 grand a week. How would that align with Arsenal's pay structure?
That's true, but then,
and he's also after, is it a 6-year contract? So how would those things align with
those
the way
are
Arsenal
reports,
do
and it
business?
would take negotiations. But all I'm saying, right, is that I just feel that why not?
No, listen,
Why
I agree
not?
with you. It would be remiss of Arsenal not to inquire, at least.
I want Arsenal to build like a team, right? After the brilliant season that we've had, I want Arsenal to build upon that, right? And I just look on it and I say, a player of that caliber available at that age, because that's the thing about him, right? At that age, 19, you know, and you look on it and you say, that's a guy you can build your team
Absolutely,
around.
and I'm sure that's the way Arteta and co and Edu would sell it to him.
Yeah, and I
would
look
say,
on him and I'm like, you would be the perfect fit for Arsenal. You, Odegaard, that sort of young, hungry players, Martinelli. It would be exciting, you know what I mean? And how many shirts would you sell with Bellingham on it as well, you know what I mean? So I don't know, I'm putting it out there to you guys. I mean, loads of you are getting involved in the chat.
Dare I say it, watching Bellingham play, I watched him up close and personal in the World Cup, and he has the attributes, I think, as well as the physical attributes. He looks like he has the mental capacity to be a future Arsenal captain if we were to sign him, because he looks like he's got those leadership qualities. Looks very mature. His tactical reading of the game looks spot on. I mean, you heard the way Gareth Southgate talks about him, you know what I mean? He's definitely one for the future. And that, like you quite rightly pointed out earlier, you're looking for people like that to take the club forward. So if we could sign people like him and Declan Rice, people like Casido, people like that, those are the types of guys that are going to bring.
That's what Man City have done.
Bring the club into that next era.
Adding top quality. I mean, you saw it with Man City last night. It's just like they've just got such a top quality team that, you know. So and you see what Haaland has brought to them this season. You know, Jay Federer. Jay says whether we get Rice, Maddison, or Bellingham, I'm personally gutted how little time Emile Smith-Rowe has got. I remain convinced he could excel as on the left-hand side. Now, of course, Emile Smith-Rowe, injury hit. This is what happens in football. Last season, he was one of our best players. This season, it's been an injury hit season for him. I feel that, and I hope that we do keep Emile Smith-Rowe. That is another player that we could sell if we really wanted to. Remember before, Villa wanted to pay 35 million for him. I'd love to see him stay because I love the kid. So I'd love to see him stay, but we'll have to wait and see how that pans out. But again, let's remember that next season we've got Champions League football, so we need a bigger squad of more quality. It's not the Europa League where we can say, right, we're going to rest this player and rest that player. And even in the group stages, you know, you've got to make sure you get through those group stages because it's so lucrative. You've got to play like literally your strongest team. Cameron Brooks says Fabrizio Romano will tell you, Robbie, that Declan Rice is the number one priority and Moises Casido. But Arsenal won't sign a number 8 due to Charlie Patino. That's another player actually who's still got to come back as well, and you know, great potential.
Are we talking number 8s here or number 6s?
But I'm still saying that you know, we're looking at a player. Well, I guess
to me, Bellingham's more of a 6.
He can play. I think
he can play in a variety of roles.
I think he's an 8 man. He's box to box energy. You know, he's exactly where Xhaka's playing now. Was where I'd envisage somebody like a Jude Bellingham. He would be. You'd have Partey or Declan Rice if you got him there, and then you could have a Bellingham there, and then that midfield.
That sounds exciting.
And if you had Odegaard in there as well,
yeah.
I mean that's an impressive midfield that can stand up against anything. Turkish says Turkish, and he's got an emoji of Turkish there. As Laurie says, build from a position of strength.
I have used that moniker on a number of occasions, and it's true. It is true.
Yep.
That is the time to build.
Jay Federer J again with another super chat. He says, regarding Arsenal finally having value in the squad, our biggest ever sale was Oxlade-Chamberlain to Liverpool for £38 million.
Yeah.
Second biggest sale, Anelka for 35 million in 1999. Great point. But now all of a sudden we've got player. I mean, how much would Saka? What's Saka worth if Mudryk is worth 88 million?
Yeah.
Double.
But listen, you highlighted it earlier. Someone like Bellingham coming into the Arsenal team, that is such an exciting prospect when you consider he'd be joining the likes of Saka, Martinelli, Odegaard, the list goes on. And it would usher in, for me, an exciting new era, the type that all Arsenal fans would genuinely welcome. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that's why, like I said earlier, it would be remiss of Arsenal not, now that Liverpool appear to have extricated themselves from the interest. I mean, look, I saw where Real Madrid have expressed that they're interested.
Yeah. There's also, like, if, say, Real Madrid winning for him, there's that Tchouaméni, who's also another player. I think he'd be maybe surplus to, and I don't know.
But do you know the other club whose name I've seen linked with him today? No, not City.
Who?
English club.
Man United?
No. Newcastle.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, we're eating at that top table now, and there's teams like Newcastle are also looking to enter the fray for those top players. So we've got to be seen to be going after those players as well.
Faded FFA Gaming says, if we really want to make a statement, get Mbappe, he says. Premier League plus Arsenal is the next step. We can have Haaland versus Mbappe debate, Henry plus Wenger linked too. I mean, that would be dream signing. Aston Mac TV says, we're looking at a 40 million minimum for Bellingham, and according to Sky, Leipzig are in for him. There's loads of club in for him at Aston that are showing a big interest in Bellingham. Put a buyback clause in the deal, grab Rice and Bellingham, and have the team that's good for a generation. That's what I'm saying, man.
Well, I can remember.
That's what Aston's saying there, a generation. So you've bought Bellingham, you've got Rice. That's almost like England's midfield there.
Yeah.
You've got Odegaard. And then you've got that backed up with your Partey, and you've got the quality in there of a Xhaka and the experience.
Well, listen, I can remember when me and you used to go back and forth quite a bit over the Champions League. And to be fair to you, you're always letting me know, listen, man, we need Champions League football, because you were saying the one thing that Champions League football will bring is that it will enable us to go for a better quality of player. You were always impressing that upon me. Listen. As we said, it looks like we're going to get Champions League football. We could even win the league. Now, what that will do is that will catapult us further up the football hierarchy. So we can go to these players like Bellingham and say, listen, man, come and join the league champions. We're in the Champions League. We want to usher in a new era. We want you guys to spearhead it. Yeah. And that's the way you sell it to these guys.
Abdullah with a super chat says, Jude won't make sense if Caicedo, Rice, Onana, etc. are available. Premier League proven is a key and risk-free. We need to go for a title again next year regardless. But I think when you look at a player like Jude Bellingham, he would adapt to the Premier League perfectly. I don't think we'd have any problem there. Trady says, I'm sceptical about Bellingham. Players that are this young and this good either turn out as a GOAT or never hit the heights like Wilshere, Diaby, etc. I think you can see, you know what it is with Jude Bellingham as well? It's the character of him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You see when he's playing for England, he's got them leadership qualities. He's got that, I think he would just fit perfectly, into an Arsenal team.
He has all the attributes that you would look at in a central midfielder and say, yes, he's the guy.
Yep. Tivas with Gupta with a super chat says, Robbie, how much would Bowley pay for an Arsenal-connected 20-year-old striker who just scored 20-plus goals and won Young Player of the Year in France and just declared for America? Well, that's it. You know what I mean? I don't know, Bowley, I don't know if Bellingham would be attracted to Chelsea. They're not going to have no Champions League football unless they win it. Grange Dude says, would you take Firmino on a free?
Probably not, to be honest.
About times he scored against us. Maybe we should. Ricky Proctor says, Robbie, you forgot Tierney, 40 to 50 million, who might leave. I don't want us to sell Kieran Tierney. I think we should be keeping Kieran Tierney.
Although
Again,
I do think we might struggle to keep him, though.
I've heard all the rumours, but people keep forgetting we've got Champions League football. Fingers crossed next year. We need I think, on the weekends, just at that game, I felt that we should have taken off Zinchenko a lot earlier. I think Zinchenko, when you're attacking and you've got the ball and that, definitely starts all day long. I think when you're suffering in a game where you haven't got the ball a lot, Tierney's better because he's a better defender. So I'd love us to keep.
I think
I love Kieran Tierney's attitude and everything.
Kieran Tierney is just, will he, and this is he,
Will he
to
want
go
to
into
stay?
another season where he's debating whether he's going to start?
But it's in the Champions League next year, so I think he'll get so much more game time. The Zombie Fanatic says, just because we will win the league, it still shouldn't give us the confidence to say Bellingham and Rice will come to us. They say it took us 19 years. I'm not saying that these guys are going to come to us, by the way, right?
No, we wouldn't be arrogant enough to suggest that.
You know what I mean? Listen, Bellingham
is,
will have the choice of wherever he wants to go to. But I'm just saying that I want to see Arsenal in the conversation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I want to see Arsenal, when these type of players become available, I'd be expecting Arsenal to be on the phone making an inquiry to Dortmund of how much would it take? Not to say that we'll do the deal, but I just feel that we should be getting involved in those sort of conversations. I know over the years, every time these sort of big players have become involved, we just start laughing because or other fans will laugh when it's suggested. I don't think they can now because Arsenal have shown their intent with some of the players they've been looking. Remember there was in the summer they were looking before they were looking at Vlahovic. That was going to be very expensive. They were looking at what's his name, the Brazilian who went to who was at Leeds. Rafinha. They were looking at Rafinha. That was going to be a big fee. Then they were looking at Caicedo in January. They were looking at Mudryk.
Listen,
so,
I think it's fair to say that after this season, right, Arsenal are shopping in a different shop now.
Definitely.
You know what I mean?
We're back in Harrods, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's through Harrods.
High-end shopping, man. You know what I mean?
A few years ago, man, we was at the corner shop. You know what I mean? We was at the corner shop, bro. You know what I mean? But now, we said to the brother at the corner shop.
No, I think it was more like your Next and your Marks and Spencers. Now
then we was at the corner shop. Then we moved to Next and Marks and Spencers.
Now you're looking at that yellow bag, man.
And it is about adding excess quality to your team. So, I do want to see Arsenal looking at these type of players. Ricky Proctor says, Robbie, valuation today is more what the other club is willing to pay than what we think he's worth. He says, except ex-Mudryk need bidding wars for maximum value. That's something you can't tell me that Bellingham there wouldn't be a bidding war. There would be.
Oh, yeah, there would.
Right? Will Charrington says, Bellingham is priceless. He suits Arteta ball. That's the other thing. I think he would suit Mikel Arteta's style of football down to the ground.
Listen, I made a list of attributes because I knew we were going to be talking about him. And, I made a list of his attributes, and you're right, they would perfectly fit the kind of qualities that Mikel Arteta likes in his players. Very fit, high work rate, great stamina, great athleticism, great tackler, compress the ball, comfortable receiving and passing the ball, can act as a link between the goalkeeper, defence and the rest of the team. High tactical understanding and a great, excellent spatial awareness. All of those qualities that he has, you said it yourself, Arteta, he would be drooling over that, you know what I mean? You'd be ideal. 19 as well.
English
and like you said,
well.
the leadership qualities that we spoke of as well. All of those are perfect.
And an English player, which means, you kind of get, and these things do come into it, shirt sales and all stuff like that. He's a bit of a pin-up for
good-looking
for
lad.
England.
Speaks well.
Speaks well.
You know what I mean? Everything's there.
Yeah, he's got everything going for him. Doesn't look like he gets injured a lot.
Yeah, that's a very good point too.
We're doing a poll on it, by the way. Should Arsenal sign Bellingham? How much do you reckon? What do you reckon it's at the moment?
I would say it's got to be in the 90s, man.
75%.
Really?
75%.
Oh, maybe I'm being a bit optimistic, but I'd have thought 9 out of 10 Arsenal fans would say, let's go for it.
There's a lot of people suggesting that we should go back for Caicedo, there's been a lot of talk that we might go back in for Caicedo, despite the fact that he has signed a new deal.
Yeah. Listen, what I think where we're at now, Arsenal, is that we've increased our options. Where we are now in terms of where we are in the league, where we could end up winning the league. That puts us in a different bracket entirely to where we was previously. And I think we do have options. We spoke about Declan Rice, we spoke about Caicedo, and now we're speaking about Bellingham. Any one of those three is possible. For me, and like I said, I'm a fan of Caicedo and Declan Rice, but if I had to opt for one of the three, I would probably go Bellingham. But then, like you said, why not get two out of those three? You know what I mean?
Why not?
We might have to offload a few players. Might even have to offload someone like Granit if you're going to get it. But again,
yeah, I mean, Granit's.
You have to. You've
got to be a bit ruthless.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, like Pep, as I said.
And I'm a fan of Granit Xhaka, by the way.
Has been a bit ruthless. I mean, look at the great job over the years Raheem Sterling's done for City.
Yeah.
He offloaded him. Look at the great job that Cancelo had done. Couldn't get a game this year. You know what I mean? It is ruthless. It is horrible. And sometimes you think, you know.
But that is the natural order of football.
Yeah, and that was kind of a fault of Arsene Wenger over the years in that he maybe showed too much loyalty to some players, and then we ended up keeping them a bit too long. You know what I mean? So,
well, it's interesting you mentioned Arsene Wenger because he used to have this philosophy about when a player had reached 30 years old, he was looking at moving them on. And we spoke earlier, didn't we, about Granit Xhaka's in his 30s now, and Mohamed El Neni as well. Even Thomas Partey's 29. So, you know.
It'll be interesting to see where Bellingham goes. Where do you reckon he'll end up? Because, you know, there's a lot of talk of Real Madrid.
I think Real Madrid are probably the favourites.
Man United are said to be, I mean, that's another club that, you know, he'd fix their problems in midfield as well, wouldn't he? You know what I mean? If they get these Qatari owners in, you know, money won't be an object for them to get that done. So it'd be really interesting to see. It was said
that Liverpool were favourites before because I think there's a link. With,
I think his dad's a Liverpool fan and stuff like that. AGT, as I said, told me, guaranteed me that Bellingham was coming to Liverpool. Never do that, bro. Never guarantee that, man, because you know things can change. We saw with the Mudryk thing how he wanted to come to Arsenal, and look where he is now.
Exactly.
You know? So,
listen, I would have thought if Arsenal make a serious bid, they've got to be in with a shout. We're a big club. We're in London. It would offer him the chance to come back home,
and we're back now as a club.
Exactly.
I think if you're a footballer, I think, and this is one thing that's going to really excite me about this summer, is that if you're a player and you're looking at an exciting place to go to, exciting project, exciting place as well. As a footballer, you are looking at Arsenal now. A few years ago, let's be real, a lot of footballers looked at it and said, Arsenal, it's in London. That's one thing going for it. I remember as a kid, Thierry Henry, players like that, Vieira, you know, Bergkamp, Arsene Wenger. I remember that as a kid, but do I really want to go there? Is it really, you know, but all of a sudden, as a player, you're looking at it and saying, boy, look at the football they play, brilliant. They're back, you know what I mean? They're in a chance of winning things now, you know. They're going to be around now, you know what I mean? They're building something as well. And then you look at it, you think the players, Young, Saka, Odegaard, Martinelli, I'd like to play with these players, man. And then you even look at it and say, boy, obviously I've always known Arsenal, massive support, but boy, that Emirates is buzzing now as well, man. That place is buzzing.
There's so many factors.
That's a place I want to be. Worldwide fan base. All of a sudden, Arsenal is starting to get back to where we've always been, which is that exciting club to be at. That, you know, that marquee club. So
I wouldn't mind betting, right, that as soon as this news broke, Arsenal probably were on the phone making.
Well, I hope so. I hope so. Not to say that we can get him. But
I mean, as I said, it would be remiss of us not to inquire.
Yeah, I hope.
Or make serious inquiries.
I hope we're making.
And like you said, Robbie, you can sell it to this guy and you can sit him down and make him feel that we want you to usher in a new era of football at this great club of ours. We want you, Saka and people like that, to spearhead that next generation. You can. You're going to say to Bellingham, you can be that next Henry, Vieira, Petit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Those guys. We want you to be that those next guys, you know?
Yeah.
So
let me do a couple more comments there before I'm going to move it on slightly. Rich Torrens, is it? He says, Granit is doing his coaching badges move him to Wilshire's coaching team in a year. I think, granted, even though he's doing that, he's still got a lot left in him.
Oh, yeah.
Very fit player, and he's been having an excellent season.
Some
Jacob
would say
says,
he's been in the form of his life.
he has been. Jacob says Rice is grossly overrated just because of his English. I don't agree. I like him a lot.
Yeah.
I think he would make a big difference to our midfield. Justin Pierre says, you guys are forgetting about Patino. He'd want to be in the first team when he's back. Tielemans, Rice, Caicedo. Get rid of El Neni plus Vieira. I'd rather loan him out and sell him. And let's do this one. Robbie Shax says, Robbie spitting facts. Let's do some big boy signings. I remember not every signing has to be a big boy 100 million, because, we always just look at Martinelli. It's 5-6 million quid, Ricky Proctor again with another super chat. Thanks, Ricky. He says, it's our great chance to get big signings done. The other two London rivals don't have Champions League, and we need to ensure that they don't get back in the near future. That's a good point. I want to move it on to this, Laurie. I don't know if you saw this yesterday, right? So the fixture against Chelsea, which was supposed to have taken place on a Saturday 5:30 kickoff.
Yeah, I was looking forward to that.
Sky was going to be shown on Sky and everything. Announced yesterday, and this was the statement that was put out on Arsenal's website. The Premier League has announced that our home league match against Chelsea has been moved to Tuesday, May the 2nd, kicking off at 8 p.m. UK time. This change has unfortunately been made after working to try to find a solution with the Metropolitan Police and our safety advisory group. We're very disappointed with the impact and disruption the fixture change will cause to our supporters, particularly after this match had initially been approved for a Saturday evening kickoff. That means that all of those parties they're talking about involved had approved that, right? It was supposed to be on Saturday the 29th of April at 5:30, now taking place on Tuesday the 2nd of May. And they also go on to say the initial scheduling of this match was approved once again at the Safety Advisory Group meeting in February. However, the Metropolitan Police have now revised this position regarding the kickoff and requested a further SAJ meeting, which will determine the match had to be rescheduled. Now, I'm sorry, I'm not happy about this. Also, first of all, I was looking forward to that game at that time, right? And
I must say, I do like my 5:30 kickoffs as well.
I like a 5:30 kickoff on a Saturday, but it's not just that. You think of how many. I think somebody should come out here now and talk about compensation for certain fans, because you think we meet them every week. Fans that have flown in from different countries to come and watch Arsenal. Fans who don't even have to
booked
fly.
Hotel rooms.
Fans from all around the country who booked hotel rooms and everything to come to this game. They're thinking it's definite, because they always say, wait to see if a game's definite. How you can normally know a game's definitely not going to move is when it's definitely going to be on TV in one of those slots. And now they've moved that to the Tuesday. Who's going to compensate all those people?
No,
I
you're
just think
absolutely
it's
right.
so,
I mean,
yet again, it's the fans that get, on the end of this poor decision making.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, we said there people have booked plane tickets, train tickets, hotel rooms. Some people would have changed their days and their jobs to accommodate the fixture. It's very disappointing. I mean, my understanding is that the police have requested it to be moved, as you said there. I think they were talking, I heard some talk today about, they're worried about the amount of events taking place in London on that day, which is why they're seeking the move to the midweek.
But we should have told them to get lost. Because of the amount of, respect to the police, but I'm sorry, they should have had that in their mind in the first place. They should have known that.
I think the police will always point to safety being the overriding concern, and will they have enough resources available to be able to have confidently police an event of that magnitude. It is a big game against another London club. Maybe they view that as a category A in terms of policing. I'm not sure. But yeah, nevertheless, it's disappointing. And you think, why is it taking this amount of time? I mean, the game would have been a couple of weeks away and now they've moved it. So yeah, very disappointing.
I honestly, and I thought, is it something to do with the coronation, the King's coronation? But that's on the 6th of May.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's not even until the week after. So why is it? Is it because there's a loads of events around that? I mean, as I said, what about these fans that have paid their money, like you said, for them hotel rooms and all those things? Who compensates those fans? I just think it's so wrong. It's so wrong, you know what I mean?
No, I'm with you on that. Like I said, though, once the police have got involved and said that they're going to have trouble policing the game on that day, then you're up against it, aren't you?
All right, well, I guess...
Premier League are probably as disappointed as we are, because let's face it, a high-profile fixture like that, they would want it to go out at Saturday at 5:30. So...
What it's done is changed the dynamic of our games, because, you know, and that means for 2 weekends there's not going to be actual game, is there?
Yeah.
Because the week before that, the Southampton game, sorry. Yeah, the week before that, the Southampton game's on a Friday, right?
Does it give us more of a rest, though?
Right, so that would be the only maybe positive that come out of it, is that we play Manchester City on the Wednesday, of course, where we've got to go away and play Manchester City, and then it would have been that we would have played on the Saturday against Chelsea.
Yeah.
It gives us an extra few
days. And let's face it, those are two potentially very hard games.
Yeah, so I guess the advantage is that, you know, there's more sort of time to rest than that before that Chelsea game, but there's still the fact that there would have been a lot of especially for a high-profile game like Chelsea. There'd be a lot of fans from other countries and stuff like that, and around the country book things, and now they're going to lose out. If you're one of those people that are going to lose out, that maybe you booked in advance, love to hear from you. Let us know in the chat. Would love to hear from you.
I must say I was very disappointed when I heard about that fixture being moved, because I was looking forward to that Saturday. You know what I mean? That time, as I said before, I like my 5:30 kickoffs. It's because the good thing about those early evening kickoffs is that if you've got things to do during the day, you can get them out of the way and say, right, okay, 5:30 football in front of the TV, or go to the game. You can allocate yourself enough time and then go out with your friends or whatever and watch a game. So yeah.
Yep. By the way, some more super chats there. Scrape says, saw Yardy in LA, told me that he thought we'd win the league by Brighton. You think it will go all the way to Wolves at the end of the season? Big up to you guys. Of course, White Yardy's over there at the moment. I'm doing a tour over there in America, so well done to
Bless
him.
Up,
Ricky Proctor says it's our great chance to get big signings. The other two, I did that one already. Ricky Proctor. Don't forget to like the video. 3,000 of you in the chat, so
smash
that like button, man. Show your appreciation. Really, really appreciate you guys on Man City last night. I know you was over on DR Sports. You did the watch along. I was watching you guys, right? They look very impressive, didn't they? I mean, 3-0 against Bayern Munich. I don't know. I think 3-0 flattered them a little bit, because Bayern
had their moments.
Actually started that game very well,
Bayern
and they had their moments,
yeah.
and could, but and then some of the mistakes that Bayern made, man. Upamecano, he lost it in the second half, didn't he?
Yeah,
but having said that, 3-0, they're on fire at the moment. They're on a bit of a charge. We're no longer,
you know what?
if you actually look at the bookies at the moment, we're no longer favourites to win the league. I mean, that game when we played them on the 26th of April now, that's so big, innit? We cannot afford to lose that game, can we?
I mean, even before the Liverpool game, that was always a massive game. But since the Liverpool game, and then even since then, what you've seen with what City had done to a very good Bayern team, smoked them, let's be honest. That game now is looking like it's going to be a decider to all intents and purposes. However, I would say this, and I said it on the stream yesterday, and I'm going to use a boxing analogy. Have you ever seen where you get a big boxing fight come up, and there's one guy, he's going through his opponents, knocking out man, and then they say to his opponents, and are you not a little bit worried, that he's knocked out his last 6 opponents? And you'll always hear the boxer say, yeah, but none of those guys were me. And there is some validity in that statement.
They knocked us out over the years, though.
No, but the point I'm trying to make is, yes, you beat Bayern 3-0, you beat Southampton 4-1, you beat Liverpool 4 and rare, but those were not Arsenal. Different team, different set of circumstances. So I'm still confident we can go there and get something.
I'll tell you what, right? You look at it and you say, if you're going to be a champion, that's the game to win, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you go up there and win that game, you're probably... I think if Arsenal go out there and they beat City, they're probably going to be champions.
Yeah.
You know, that's how big that game is. I mean, obviously...
I would say if we can go there and avoid defeat, we got a great chance.
It's starting to look that way because I was looking at their fixtures. They're not going to... I mean, they got Leicester this weekend at the Etihad.
New manager bounce?
What, Dean Smith? You know,
but you were saying a similar thing about Roy when Roy took over at Palace.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but Roy's not
you weren't the only one either.
Yeah, but Roy's not having to go and play Man City. I mean, I was thinking to myself, I saw a rumor this week, right, that they might get Rafa Benitez.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, yeah, you know what? They go get Rafa Benitez. He'll go out there, park the bus up a bit. You know, he could sneak a little draw. Well, when I saw Dean Smith, I was like...
But listen, you cannot write Leicester out of that game completely. You know why? Because they are absolutely fighting for their lives. And me saying that, I'm keeping it equal. No, because we go to West Ham this Sunday, and I've already heard a few Arsenal fans say, yeah, we always beat West Ham. And I'm saying, listen, man, you're right. We do normally do well
every game
West Ham,
now. Every game, yeah, every
but
game.
West Ham are also in a position where they're fighting for their Premiership survival, so they're going to come a little bit different.
Every game carries a lot of jeopardy now, even playing West Ham. We've got a good record against West Ham, even away. But, like you said, they're fighting for their lives.
I think our running is harder than City's, though.
Yeah, we've got a harder running. I think
we've got Newcastle coming up as well.
game in particular, going
Chelsea
away there. But they do have to go away to Brighton.
Yep.
And I think they got Chelsea as well, haven't they? But I think if we was to go up there and beat them, I mean, that game is absolute. The TV companies are rubbing their hands, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
They're rubbing their hands, man. That game, I've already had so many calls from TV companies and that saying, Robbie, man, we want to do an interview with you for that game. Because they know
it could conceivably come down to the last game. Our last game is against Wolves.
Yep.
Their last game.
They go away to Brentford.
Right. So,
but
and that's not an easy game, by the way.
It's Brentford. Not, but I think if they have to win it,
stranger things have happened.
Brentford have dropped a little bit. What you said, I like that boxing analogy, man.
That's what they say. Whenever they put it to the guy, go, aren't you worried that he's knocked out his last 6 opponents? And invariably, the boxer will always say, yeah, but none of those guys were me. I'm different. And that's the approach that I think we should have.
Hold on to that. But also at the moment, as I said, if you check the bookies at the moment, we're no longer the favourites. But if you're going to be champions, listen, there's no easy way of
they do also say bookies very rarely get it wrong.
I am getting really annoyed, and you would have seen me in that video up in Liverpool where people keep coming up with this narrative about we'll bottle it. Honestly,
that's nonsense.
What Arsenal have done this season, we've only lost 3 games. Yeah. We've been brilliant, so this bottle talk's rubbish.
Even last week, right? Even last week when we were under the cosh for vast swathes of that game, especially in the second half. Yeah. We never looked like capitulating.
And we could still have won it.
And we could still have won it.
You know, I was looking at that game, right? So this is just to show you the margins in football. You know what that game reminded me of, right? That reminded me of, if we would have scored that goal at the end, that reminded me just of when Tottenham went to the Etihad and beat City.
Yeah, I remember
that. They were in the lead, and then City got back in it and had them absolutely under the cosh, and then they got a breakaway at the end, and it was Harry Kane. Bang, he banged it in. I think it was Harry Kane or Son of one of them.
Or was it Bergwijn? There was a game I saw as well last season.
They got a breakaway at the end, and we had a breakaway at the end, and we just weren't. So it's small margins. Milo says watching City is so boring, like watching a tree grow. Would rather watch. I'm a Negro. Oh, he's trying to catch me out, and we're not on that. Rich Torrance says, funny how they move the only game we played before Man City. Coincidence or Premier League manipulation?
I think it could be because it's a London derby, and maybe the police are looking at it as a kind of.
It's after we play Man City anyway.
No.
It's not before we play Man City. It's actually after we play Man City. So
could it be that it's because Arsenal, Chelsea, London derby, category A game? There's a few other events going on.
You will cancel them other events. You know what I mean?
There's a few other events and activities going in London, as there always is, by the way.
Yeah, I mean they've known this since February, and you know the
it's disappointing.
The fixture list they would have known from February. You look at it, you see City, you see Chelsea at the weekend. So, I mean, come on, you know. Ricky Proctor again says Robbie is Arteta being stubborn with the Zinchenko-Tierney selection. In the big games away, Tierney is better than Zinchenko. I don't think you can say that. Zinchenko's been brilliant in some of them away games.
You also
remember the New Year's game last year when
Tierney
and Saka killed City.
You've also got to look at it like this, in its rawest form, is that Zinchenko is actually Arteta's signing. So if it comes down to it, you're normally going to expect the signing to get the nod.
I just think, I don't even think it's that. I just think it's the style.
No, meaning that he would have brought Zinchenko in for specific reasons. So if push comes to shove, you're going to expect him to go with the guy that he signed.
The style in which we play, especially which wheeled us the 2 goals at the start of the game, is Zinchenko play at left back, dropping into that midfield and creating the overload of more midfield players, and it's great when we're on the attack. And we saw City even yesterday where they're dropping John Stones, doing exactly the same thing, dropping from right back into midfield. And we heard, like the other day, talk of what's his name, the right back at City, English right back at City. Well, name's just slipping.
Kyle Walker.
Kyle Walker being very upset that he's not starting every week. And Pep Guardiola come out and said he can't play that role. He can't play that role when he drops into midfield, and that's why he's not been playing. So it's a similar thing with this, you know what I mean? And, if you're going to be at a big club, these are the things that are going to happen. Best in the World one says, important to remember how Arteta and Edu have changed the club. I'm 30 years old, yet I am now back in love, regardless if we win the league or not. And that's a great point. I'm in love with this club. The way we're playing this season has been fantastic just to see us back challenging again.
I think a lot of people will say that.
Exactly.
Not just Arsenal fans, actually.
Exactly.
I've spoken to so many fans this season.
Well, literally every Liverpool fan I spoke to, I know obviously they all hate City because of the rivalry between them, said, listen, we want to see you win it. And I've speak to so many fans that say, I'd rather you guys win it. Just, City win it every year. Want to see a change and love the way you guys have been doing it this year. Yeah. Elijah says, big up to you guys, Robbie. Why does this Bellingham chat feel like a cheeky prelude to your summer transfer dailies? Well, hopefully I will be talking about him. And Rich says, I meant before Man City played on the same weekend. And just before we go, just wanted to touch, it's good to see, back in training, Eddie Nketiah.
Yeah.
Back in training. I feel he's got an important role to play.
He does.
Before the end of the season, there's always sort of heroes that come off the bench, as we've seen, and he's done that a lot for us.
What a story if he comes off the bench and gets a winner against City. I mean, that could easily happen.
That would be brilliant. That really would be good. But it's good to see him back. Still nothing on Saliba, though.
Yeah, now that's a bit of a concern. No disrespect, of course, to our friend Rob Holding, who's doing his best.
Done brilliantly.
But you got to say that a William Saliba in the Arsenal side does enhance the team.
Yeah.
So we want him to come back as soon as possible, but they ain't going to want to rush him back for obvious reasons. I've not heard too much. Maybe this game being put back a few days might help someone like him.
Yeah.
So
let's see. Aston Mac again, big up Aston Mac TV says, we've been the butt of their jokes for a decade now. So now that we're serious again, the ops are back out. Us against the world, like back in the United days. Never forget that. He says, come on, you Gunners. And Scrape says, Bellingham Daily coming soon this summer. You never know. I think I get a feeling it's definitely going to be like Declan Rice Daily, you know what I mean? But listen, we've reached the end of the show today. Thank you very, very much for being part of it. Don't forget, we're here every day, 5 o'clock, 5 at Live here, where we're discussing the big issues of the day. Look out for our previews coming up this weekend. We've got big previews that we're going to be doing at West Ham. Of course, it's West Ham on Sunday. Massive game for the Arsenal.
Looking forward to that.
We do play after City play, so you know we'll get to see if your boxing analogy comes true, or if it's just there's another side of that boxing thing as well, and you know,
what's that?
You know, they knock someone out again. You know, what I mean? Keep that streak going.
But listen, regardless of what City do, we got to keep winning, because we've got to win all our games. That's the approach that I'm sure the manager will.
Both teams have got to win all their games.
So,
and there's more twists and turns to happen.
I'm sure there is. And I think both teams will probably drop points between now and the end of the season.
Yeah, let's just keep backing our team, man. I mean, we're doing a great job. So thanks for watching the show. Don't forget to subscribe here. If you're not doing anything tonight, get over onto DR Sports. I'm going to be on there today as well. We're doing the Champions League games. You know what? I'm looking forward to next year. We're in it. We're in the Champions League, right? So listen, thanks for watching the show today, and we'll see you tomorrow.